Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is now streaming on Disney Plus, which of course means I finally got to watch this movie because I was not able to watch it in theaters. Hopefully, with Thor: Love and Thunder, I think I will be able to see it maybe opening weekend, so fingers crossed on that. But for now, let's talk about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Because this, of course, is the sequel to 2016's Doctor Strange, and now 6 years later, we have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which not only sees the return of Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, of course, since that movie, we've had multiple other appearances like Thor Ragnarok, Infinity War, Endgame, Spider-Man No Way Home, but also brings him together with Elizabeth Olsen's Wanda Maximoff, aka the Scarlet Witch, after her official kind of transformation into the Scarlet Witch in WandaVision, which I absolutely love that series. I love that we got to see that story continue in this movie and see their, well, not team up, definitely battle with each other, so that was interesting to see. And there's just a whole lot of cool stuff going on here because we are of course dealing with the multiverse, which, you know, we've had all the teases and the clues here kind of looking like we're building up towards Secret Wars. That's going to be the big new saga here. We had the Infinity Saga, now it's going to be the Multiverse Saga, the Secret Wars Saga, something like that. And we're getting a whole bunch of multiverse stuff in the MCU within the coming years. But for a movie called Multiverse of Madness, you would have thought we had more multiverse stuff going on here, because for the most part, I mean, I love the scenes where, like, we had the part with Doctor Strange and America Chavez where they were just, like, blipping through a bunch of different universes and realities. That was really, really cool to see the different universes throughout the multiverse. But for the most part, we spend most of our time on the main 616 MCU Earth and then Earth 838, which, I mean, to be fair, I did watch an interview with Michael Waldron, the screenwriter of this movie, who said that he did that on purpose because he said instead of just hopping through a bunch of different realities, he wanted to focus on one specific Earth and one specific universe so that you could really get a chance to get to know those characters, get to know that world, and see that, hey, it's just like ours, but it's a little different with some certain ways. And of course, we'll get into talking about the Illuminati and all that other multiverse stuff later in the video. But first, let's talk about just Doctor Strange. Because through and through, this is a Doctor Strange movie. Even though at times it does seem like basically this is a Scarlet Witch movie, which I love as well. But this is still a Doctor Strange movie. This is still a sequel to the original Doctor Strange film. And Benedict Cumberbatch is still the star of this film. And of course, he proves once again how perfect he is for this role. Not only playing our main 616 MCU Doctor Strange, but all these other variants as well. I loved him as Defender Strange, even Zombie Strange. That was awesome, by the way. I mean, I kind of already knew from the trailers that Defender Strange and Zombie Strange were going to be the same thing, but actually seeing how Zombie Strange was used with the whole dream walking thing was really, really cool. That was awesome at the end. And also we had Sinister Strange and Strange Supreme as well. So really just getting to see these different variants of Doctor Strange, all played by Benedict Cumberbatch, again, just shows how great of an actor he is. And honestly, I think this has to be his best performance in the MCU thus far. But besides stopping Scarlet Witch and saving the multiverse and all that stuff that Doctor Strange is trying to do in this movie, I also love his character development because he and Wanda are dealing with a very similar thing. They just deal with it in different ways because they're both dealing with the loss of love. And I'll talk about Wanda separately, but of course we have Doctor Strange. He starts off this movie at Christine Palmer's wedding. He lost the love of his life. And you saw, especially after, I believe it's episode 4 of What If, like how much Christine Palmer means to him. So to lose her to another man, that's heartbreaking. And, you know, he goes through this journey in this film, especially seeing that all these other Doctor Strange variants and the Christine Palmer variant, that, you know, they're romantically involved in all these other universes as well, but things just never work out. That, of course, though, is what makes this post-credit scene in this movie so cool with the introduction of Clea, because that's going to be his new love interest, and again, we'll talk about that later as well. But like I said, Wanda is dealing with the same thing, the loss of love, the loss of her children, also Vision as well, which I was kind of disappointed how, like, I mean, this whole movie, like, her whole thing is, like, she's trying to get back her happiness and her love and her family. but only her kids. It's like she just doesn't care about Vision anymore, even though that was literally the whole thing in WandaVision, was that she missed Vision. She was trying to get Vision back. But now, who cares about Vision? Let's get the kids back. I mean, it would have been nice if we had, like, a cameo from Vision or something like that, but I guess not. But anyway, like I said, where Doctor Strange kind of, he's kind of just given up on love, she is very much the opposite. She's very much in deniability about her kids not being real and that she needs her kids, and going to very extreme lengths here. And like I said earlier, I love how this movie at times felt like a Scarlet Witch movie, but also there were times that it felt like they kind of ignored WandaVision again, with the complete absence and barely any mention of Vision. Because both Sam Raimi and Michael Waldron have said they haven't even watched WandaVision, so, like, what are you doing making this movie then? But, yeah, and also, it was definitely surprising at the beginning how, like, she was already a villain at the beginning of this movie, but at the same time, like, it didn't completely make sense. I mean, it made sense, but also, like, I feel like she just went full villain in this movie and then didn't really have the motives behind it. Especially seeing how far she went. She, of course, kind of redeemed herself at the end. Not really, but, like, made the sacrifice. And there's no way she's actually dead. She is fully 100% coming back to the MCU in the future. How will she be redeemed? I don't know, because she was really brutal in this movie. But speaking of Scarlet Witch, her whole plan to get her kids through the multiverse was by using the powers of America Chavez, a new character that was introduced to the MCU in this film, played by Xochitl Gomez, and I thought she was a great addition. She didn't play as big of a role as I thought she would, but she was still really cool, and I'm really excited to see her future with the Young Avengers, and, maybe she will get her own spin-off series on Disney Plus or something like that. Hopefully she does get to see her parents, her moms, one day again. That would be really cool. I loved the visuals of her powers. Just overall, all the visuals in this film were really, really cool. But, alright, let's get into the big part. The big multiversal thing that we were all excited for this film was the cameos with the Illuminati. I love the Illuminati in this movie, even though it was all spoiled for me ahead of time and already, probably like right after opening weekend, I had already seen all the different characters, already knew the full lineup, already knew 838 and all that stuff, and yeah, so that made it a little less exciting, but I still loved it. I still love seeing John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. He was amazing. Anson Mount back as Black Bolt in that super comics accurate outfit. Patrick Stewart as Professor X with the, like, comics accurate 90s X-Men outfit, the green suit, the yellow hover chair, even though it wasn't, like, actually hovering and was kind of just going around. It actually did look a little big, but still, the thought was nice. And one thing that wasn't spoiled for me here, though, was the X-Men 90s theme song that actually played when he made his entrance. That was amazing. I love that. We also have Lashana Lynch as this universe's Captain Marvel, which I think would actually be a great premise for a What If episode. They should totally do that in season 2 or season 3 or whatever. Literally just show, like, what in this universe, like, instead of Carol, it was Maria. So that was great. I love seeing her in action. Also, Haley Atwell as live action Captain Carter, which she was nowhere near as cool as she is in What If, but still nice to see her in live action. Also, Mordo is there too. I did like how he was kind of tricking them at first, and seeing this alternate universe version of the character. It was a little disappointing we didn't get to see our actual 616 MCU Mordo, but then again, from what we've heard about the deleted scene with Scarlet Witch decapitating him, I'm kind of glad we didn't see that. So hopefully they're saving him for the third movie or something like that. But never, then again, this 838 version is still alive. He's still out there. Maybe he wants revenge and he comes for that in the third movie as well. You never know. That could be a possibility too. But then even with the deaths, I know a lot of people were really disappointed by this. How, like, we just got these great versions of these characters and then they're just automatically killed. And, like, they're supposed to be, like, these super powerful characters and then just Scarlet Witch just completely obliterates them. But again, it's the multiverse, so really who cares that they died? Because these aren't our main MCU versions of the character. But it was actually so awesome and so cool seeing this carnage. I mean, I do have to admit, it was pretty stupid for Reed Richards, the smartest man in the world, to say, like, oh, Black Bolt, one word from his mouth, and you should be like, oh, what mouth? That was awesome. Like, he literally exploded his brain, and that was both disgusting and awesome at the same time. Reed Richards being turned into spaghetti, oh my god, Professor X, like, literally, I did not expect to go actually into his mindscape thing, and then, like, Scarlet Witch just, like, snap at his neck, and I love how she, like, looked like an actual witch at points in this movie like that, also the beginning in Carmitage when she was, like, coming out of that steel drum or something. That was awesome. All these other characters, like Captain Carter getting literally sliced and diced with their own shields, that was some brutal stuff. And then I also love how with Doctor Strange Supreme, the whole story behind him, that he used the Darkhold to try and defeat Thanos, how we actually got to see Thanos on Titan dead there with the sword through him and everything, and how they actually executed their Earth's version of Doctor Strange, because that's what the Illuminati is and what they do in the comics, is that they're there to make those hard, tough decisions and really have no remorse for it. Now, one more thing before we get into talk about the post-credit scenes and where things could go for the next movie. I do want to talk about just how confusing this movie is, and probably would be, especially for a general audience member. Like, for people that have never watched an MCU movie before, they're probably going to come into this and you have to be paying attention very, very closely, because they establish so much in so little time. I mean, incursions, dream walking, variants, the whole thing with the Darkhold and the third eye, which also doesn't make sense, because, like, if Sinister Strange and our Doctor Strange got the third eye from doing that, why didn't Wanda get it? Why didn't Agatha Harkness get it? I don't know. There's some plot holes, some confusing parts here, but still, it was a really cool movie. And especially when we get into those post-credit scenes. The last one was just the Bruce Campbell cameo, so that was cool. Nice little funny bit, especially I was like, oh, it's the end. But Clea, we got the introduction of Charlize Theron as Clea to this universe, of course, setting up for Doctor Strange 3. She's like, oh, an incursion has been caused. It's your fault. Doctor Strange, come help me. He has the third eye now. And they hop into the dark dimension. Because, of course, in the comics, Clea is actually the niece of Dormammu. So, looks like to end out this trilogy, we are going back to where it all started with Dormammu in the dark dimension. We're getting this team up between Doctor Strange and Clea. And this is going to be awesome, especially because, you know, this whole movie was about him kind of moving on from Christine and kind of realizing that, like, he can still find love out there, because in the comics, Doctor Strange and Clea end up getting married. So hopefully that ends up happening. Again, hopefully we get to see the main MCU version of Mordo come back as well, especially considering that he actually has romance with Clea's mother, so that could be pretty cool to explore in the third movie too. And it's something I'm really excited for, because this was a fun, good movie. It was still a Doctor Strange movie, but I feel like the third movie we're gonna go really back into the roots of Doctor Strange and not have all the crazy multiverse, Scarlet Witch, and other Avengers type stuff going on here. Now, some other quick honorable mentions here. Wong, of course, we had Wong here. He was great as always. We also had Rintrah, who was basically a cameo, if I'm being honest, but still cool green Minotaur doing magic. That was awesome. But yeah, overall, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, even though pretty much everything in this movie was spoiled for me ahead of time, I still enjoyed it. I still had fun, despite being a little confused at times with these new concepts and, you know, finding there to be a little, not necessarily a lack of action, but specifically not having kind of a lack of a big end fight, like final battle, because, like, it wasn't even our actual Doctor Strange versus Scarlet Witch, and really none of them actually fought Scarlet Witch, especially at the end. Not even America Chavez did, or Doctor Strange, or anything like that. But it was still cool. It was still a really fun movie. I enjoyed the exploration of the multiverse. Wish there was a bit more multiverse, but again, they're probably saving that for a big endgame level event with Secret War, so hopefully we'll be getting more of that there. But I enjoyed it, and I'm really excited to see where things go with Doctor Strange in the future for Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch making a return, and now that we've had a glimpse of it on a different Earth, the introduction of the Fantastic Four and the X-Men to the MCU as well, also in Humans too. But for now, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? What are your thoughts on Doctor Strange, its movie, Scarlet Witch, some of these other cameos, the Illuminati, all that? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the Marvel life.